Hello, my name's Sean Brown from SCCS, and this is a Wisen video in which I'm going to go through the offset and recalculation functions. So these are typically used after an initial installation of your nodes in which you'd like to set the null value to be 0. Perhaps you would like to introduce an inherent value to a node, or you have a false step identified and you'd like to remove that false step from the resultant data display. So first of all, you go into set projects and units, and here we have an example project in which the gateway is reading and reporting at a minute interval. And as an example, I'm going to focus just on one node, and this one's called track_003. So initially, after switching them on and having a baseline or bedding in period, you will have values displayed here which are essentially a raw value, and what you're seeing here is a current epoch value being displayed. So the first step will be to go to setup, offset and ref ID, look at the node of interest, press offset plus, and then press the graph button for the A-axis. So what you have now is a graph for the time period displayed, and the A degrees value is an average over that time period. Now, if I'd installed this, say 30 days ago, I'd press the 30 days. And what we're seeing now is the initial installation period, and I'm going to associate this to be my baseline period, and what you can see here is the A-axis value has changed, and that is the average value over that time period. So I've got no spurious data within this graph. I'm quite happy with the data. Obviously it's trending, it's cyclic movement, it's most likely due to temperature variations, but if you look at the axis scale, this is 0.1 of a degree. So if you're happy with that value, you move on to the B-axis. I'd look at the last 30 days data. And again, nothing untoward. Again, look at the range or the axis to ensure that the spikes are nothing to be concerned about. And again, you have the average value calculated. If you're happy with both those values to be set as the null 0 reference, then click save. You'll have a little dialog to say you are changing from 0 to the red text, which is going to become your new reference point. Click confirm and OK. Now if we go back to data show table and we look at the node of interest, you see the values haven't changed yet, so we just give this web page a minute to refresh. Okay, the page is now refreshed, and if we look at the A-axis and the B, you can see the values are very close to 0 after the offset was applied. Now that was obviously applied going forward for the data, but the historical data has not been rebaselined or recalculated. So the next step is to do just that. So we go to setup, recalculation, we pick the node of interest, we expand, we add a calculation, so you have the current timestamp. So obviously I've applied the 0 reference point today, so I'm happy for that timestamp. And we go back to the initial installation of the node, and you'll see here it's carried forward the reference values that it had calculated from your average period. So you leave those as they are. Press calculate, and you'll get a little status symbol, and you'll see that the data will be back calculated, and I'll come back to you when this is completed. Okay, this process has now been completed, and your historic data has been offset to those reference points. So we go back to data show table, and we look at the node values over a 30-day period, you can see essentially the whole data set for that epoch period has been offset in line with your new reference point. Okay, next I'm just going to showcase to you how you carry forward an inherent value into a node which you've initially set to 0. So first of all, make a note of this current resultant value. We will also take account of your null or raw value that you have set previously, and again make a note of that value. So now I've taken you forward to a simple Excel sheet in which the offset formula can be seen. So here the offset is the resultant value plus the raw value subtracting the required resultant value. So I've just obtained the current resultant value, and you can see that in blue. The raw value, which we'd set as the null reference earlier, you can see that value. And in this case, I have an inherent value which I'd like to introduce to my tilt node of 4. Therefore, the offset I need to apply is calculated in the red text, which I'm going to apply back into the Wisen software. So here we are back in the Wisen software, and I've gone into offset and ref ID, and you can see that I'm going to enter in the offset value that was just calculated. And if I click save, you can see the value I've entered is going to be applied. Don't worry about the B value because that was the inherent value that was calculated earlier and there's no change. Click confirm, click OK, and we go to data, show table, and we look at the node of interest, and again, give it a minute to refresh. Okay, we can now see the web page is refreshed, and the value I want to associate for the A axis for this tilt node has been applied. Again, the important thing to note here that this is the current resultant value. All the historic data is not being recalculated to this value. So if the user wanted to realign that data, you'd follow the previous step earlier in this video to move all your historic data and offset going forward. This concludes the video on the offset and recalculation parameters. In part 2 of the video, I'm going to showcase to you how to remove false steps in your data set, and I look forward to joining you in that one.